There's a specific sterile smell in my lab, a mix of antiseptic and cold steel. It's the smell of certainty, and for the last 7 years, it's been my entire world. I'm a quality assurance analyst for a major food distributor, the guy who makes sure the product leaving our facility is perfectly safe for public consumption. My job isn't about opinions or feelings. It's about data, about the hard, cold, microscopic truth. My boss, a man named Marcus, used to understand that. Lately, though, the pressure from corporate to increase output had changed him. He started talking less about safety and more about efficiency metrics. That's when my world of certainty began to crack. It happened on a Tuesday. I was running final tests on a massive batch of cultured dairy product, tens of thousands of units destined for grocery stores across 3 states. The preliminary cultures were not good. The bacterial counts were high, teetering right on the edge of the mandatory recall threshold. I was preparing to log the failure when Marcus appeared in my doorway, looking tired and strained. He didn't ask about the numbers. Instead, he started talking about the new quarterly bonuses, about how close our plant was to hitting a record. He put a heavy hand on my shoulder and said, "Leo, sometimes this equipment needs a little recalibration to see the bigger picture. Make sure you run the final test for the best possible result. We're all counting on it." The words were slippery, but the meaning was crystal clear. Fudge the numbers and pass the batch. I felt a cold knot tighten in my stomach. This wasn't a spreadsheet. This was food people would feed their kids. Instead of arguing, I just nodded slowly and said, "I'll double-check the standard operating procedures and make sure everything is documented perfectly." His smile didn't reach his eyes. He just clapped my shoulder again and left. I didn't recalibrate anything. I did the exact opposite. I ran the standard diagnostic on my testing equipment and printed the results, showing it was functioning perfectly. Then I ran the final test on the batch, following the company protocol to the letter. As I expected, it failed. Badly. I carefully photographed the petri dishes with a timestamp. I saved the digital readouts from the spectrometer. I exported the chat logs from our internal system where Marcus had made his subtle threats. Then I compiled my final report, batch 74B, failed. Significant microbial contamination. I emailed it to the standard distribution list, but I added 2 more names from the corporate directory, the vice president of regional operations and the head of the national compliance office. I just buried them in the carbon copy line as if it were routine. All hell broke loose within an hour. The shipment was frozen. An automated alert went straight to the top, and suddenly Marcus had executives on a conference call demanding to know why a failed batch was nearly loaded onto trucks. That's when my phone rang. It was Marcus. His voice a low, furious whisper. He told me to get to his office immediately. When I walked in, he accused me of incompetence, of trying to sabotage him. He told me he was going to tell the executives that I misread the instruments and that he was ordering the batch shipped. I just stood there, my heart hammering, but my voice was steady. I told him I simply followed the protocol he himself had signed off on 6 months prior. The corporate inquiry was swift. Marcus told his story first, painting me as a disgruntled employee who made a catastrophic error. When it was my turn, I didn't raise my voice. I didn't make accusations. I simply presented my evidence. I laid out the equipment diagnostic report. I showed them the time-stamped photographs of the cultures. I provided the final, undeniable data from the spectrometer and the logs of our conversations. I had built a fortress of facts, and his lies just crumbled against it. Marcus wasn't fired. The official memo said he had resigned to pursue other opportunities. We all knew what that meant. I kept my head down and continued my work in the quiet, sterile hum of my lab. About a month later, news broke about a massive food recall from our biggest competitor. A salmonella outbreak, traced back to a plant that had cut corners to meet quotas. People were hospitalized. The company's stock plummeted. The executive who had led the inquiry into Marcus sent me a 1-sentence email. It just said, "Thank you for doing your job." It was then I realized I hadn't just saved myself from taking a fall. I had saved the entire company from a disaster, not with a heroic speech, but with the quiet, unshakable power of the truth.